culture here on Earth is one that is it's become at least very, very selfish. On Earth right now, what I run into is a lot of people who have nothing and a lot of people who seem to have everything, more than enough. Now, I am not preaching what in the West you term as socialism or communism. But what I am saying is that as a global society, you have to have some sort of compassion. There is too much disparity on your planet. I don't want to preach to you here. I want to try to, as much as I can, explain what I know. But if you will allow me to bend your ear for a moment and tell you what I really think would save your planet and make your children's future, your grandchildren's future, their children's future brighter, is if on a global scale there could be some means of assistance to those who are without in a very, very bad way. Now, some of you are going to tell me that there are NGOs around the world, and the United Nations and Amnesty International and UNICEF, and the people ramble all these things off. And what I tell them is that somebody who has traveled over the last few decades very extensively and dealt with people who are in positions of power on your planet, that this money, these gifts are not doled out in a fair and equitable manner. In most cases that I have seen personally, they are used as bargaining chips for different political factions within the recipient country or state. And it's very hard for other people, other beings, let's say, around the galaxy, when we look in on Earth and see how dependent you are on these things that make no sense to us on a grand scale. Okay? I understand that your planet operates at what you believe to be a very efficient level. That's great. It is a very advanced society right now in 2010. But your planet has evolved into... America's a very good example. In America, many, many factories have been moved overseas because they can build the goods overseas and ship them back to the United States cheaper than they can build them and distribute them there. Many companies in America now are just distribution houses. They sell their wares, but those wares are made elsewhere. They come to them and they ship them out. During the 2000s, after the September 11th attacks, when the American government made credit so easy and available to consumers and commercial industrial customers as well, what happened was that a lot of people went out and borrowed against what they would call the equity in their home. Your home's worth this amount of money, you owe this amount of money, whatever the difference is how much of your home you owe, right? We all know this, okay? For a long time in America, people had lived within their means. It's the concept of mortgaging your home where you live to a bank, to a commercial entity who can then throw you out onto the streets to get a bunch of money to go out and buy things that you really, to be honest with you, most of you did not need. Be honest with yourselves for a moment and ask yourselves, did you really need the new carpet? Did you really need the new big screen TV that I see so many Americans with? When I was in America a few weeks ago, I guess a month ago or so, everywhere I went, on the walls were these, what they would call flat screen TVs. The noise, the inundation of light and sound really messes with your species on both a conscious and subconscious level. I don't think people realize, people walking around, a lot of the folks I talk to, how programmed this society is right now in this day and age. Everything that we use, everybody works on a computer screen or over the phone, or it's very an electronics dependent society globally on this planet right now. I know as someone who catches rides on shipping vessels because I don't like to fly. I have seen amazing technology on these ships that haul these giant cargo containers all around the world. And they're all run by satellites, and they're all run by computers. There's very little human involvement. It was funny in Iran, not ha-ha funny, but it was funny in Iran when the Stuxnet virus was attacking the Bashir nuclear reactor, and the scientists there were looking at the computer screens going, everything's fine. The computer told them everything was fine, so they didn't have any cause to even look at the actual physical machine. I think that as a society you have been programmed over the last about 3 decades, about 30 years of Earth time. I think that you have very much been programmed for what is coming. And the reason I say that is because many species around the galaxy want to help human beings survive what's coming in 2012, or that's not even an accurate way of saying that. Folks, you guys need to stop thinking about December 21st, 2012. That's a date, that's an approximation of about the center of when all this is going on. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be hunky-dory up until then, and then complete and utter devastation after that. As we head into 2011, you are going to begin to see an increase in natural disasters on your planet. You're going to see a weakening of the Earth's magnetic field, which is going to affect your satellite technology. As solar coronal mass ejections come from your sun and hit Earth, there is going to be a disruption of your electronic infrastructure on this planet, and you need to be able to cope with this. People who live in large cities especially need to be very aware of their surroundings, because when everything breaks down in a large city, I can tell from experience, I can tell you this, when things break down in a large city, the people who are your police or your military, those who you deem it their job or their responsibility to protect you, do not stand protecting strangers. They go to their homes, to their families, and protect them. And you need to be able to survive at least the first 72 hours of any natural disaster on your own, in your home. Even if you spend a lot of time at work, or at university, if you work in a lab. I have told many of the individuals that I work with who spend a lot of time in their labs and who eat from these machines that you put the coin in and it puts out the snacks, that is not going to sustain you for 72 hours. You at least need to get, something, have some vitamins on hand, something that will keep, perhaps some nuts, cans of tuna, I think is what the fish is called that comes in the cans. Something that will keep for a long time and allow you to sustain yourself for at least 72 hours. Now, the reason why I keep harping on this to people is because I keep running into humans on this planet who for some reason firmly believe that their government or their military or their community leaders will protect them in the event of a catastrophic circumstance. Very nice, very honorable that so many of you believe this is the case. But in your deepest, darkest heart of heart, you have to understand. Please be honest with yourself. What I'm saying, you will be on your own. Those of you who have young children, those of you who require medication, you need to maintain a supply. I'm not saying everyone needs to build a bomb shelter. I'm not saying everyone needs to go buy these kits that folks sell with all this dehydrated or canned, food and things. I'm not endorsing that at all, or I'm not advising that at all. If you have the means to do that, and that's what you want to do to protect yourself, then by all means. But for the average individual, surviving the first 72 hours is paramount. Being able to go out after that time very carefully and try to gather different items is something that you need to look at very carefully. Here's why. Natural disaster happens, from my experience. The first thing that happens is everyone panics. Everybody tries to get home. They try to get parents try to get to their kids. Boyfriends get to girlfriends. Except it goes crazy fast. And during that time, it's very likely that any of you listening to this right now will be in that group of people, unless you're one of those people that lives and works and never leaves your house. Okay. So first of all, you need to have a system within your group of loved ones, that a place where everyone is going to try to get to and meet. Your cell phones are probably not going to work. The technology that runs your cell phones is very susceptible, because it's all computer based. It's very susceptible to disruption. It's not like in the old days where the line to the telephone at your house, if the physical line broke, you lost your signal. If the line maintained and it could maintain power to the main switch house or whatever it's called, you were able to communicate. Now with cell phones and everybody being so reliant on technology, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to get yourself home and get yourself secure and those you love secure without being able to communicate with them. A great many of the people I run into right now are very dependent on these little devices that everyone I see now seems to carry. Here in Jerusalem, I don't think I have seen one person without a cell phone. In Baghdad, even in the poorest, even in Sadr City, people have cell phones. Very interesting technology that has become very pedestrian and basically throwaway. These devices, they're built to work for a couple of years and throw away and get a new one, like so many other things that you have. People in America don't understand the transfer of wealth that's taken place between America and the rest of the world. You have purchased goods that were manufactured in other places around the world, and that which you have put back into your own economy, for the most part, has fueled the finance sectors, because so many people operate on credit right now. At least when I was there, the ones I would run into, ladies and gentlemen, I have never seen anything like it. In the days of the Philistines, there was a phrase that loosely equated to, a man spending more than he has dips into his soul. And what that means is, it's kind of, I've always felt, similar to one of the tenets of Islam, that talks about not paying interest or not loaning money. It's very dangerous for individuals or groups of people to begin loaning money and charging interest. The reason is this: your money is already, in a grand scale, worthless. If the end of the world comes, you're not going to be able to take paper money or some cheap metal coins and buy anything. Those of you who have been collecting all this gold are the biggest fools of all. Sorry if I sound angry in saying that, but what do you think you can eat your gold? Are you going to throw your gold at people who are coming to take what you have? If you have been saving up gold, you better have also been saving up firearms to defend it if anything happens. Silliest thing ever. And I understand that many of you believe that the Anunnaki will somehow negotiate with you for your gold when all that transpires in 2012. And I can tell you right now that what goes on between Nibiru and the planet Earth as far as coming here and collecting gold will have nothing to do with any of you lay people. It will all have to do with your world leaders. And if they want your gold, they will take it from you. That's why everything on this planet seems to be going to this computer-based global infrastructure, because the powers that be want you beholden to them. They want everything that you buy and sell to have to go through them. Do you know the internet, the thing that you're listening to me on right now? Every computer on this planet that's connected to the internet comes through 4 main switch houses. Do you know who controls those main switches? And computer nerds, forgive me if I'm not using the exact technical term, but you do know that I'm accurate. You do know that this is true. Everything that you do is somehow connected to your desire to, I guess, live more comfortably, have more leisure time, right? Everybody wants to have more free time. But ask yourself this: